In the first 2024 presidential debate, Donald Trump faced a crucial question that he refused to answer. And that question was, what does Trump say to voters who believe that he violated his oath of office on January 6th and worries that he'll do it again? Now, this is actually a very important question because a lot of more moderate Republicans really didn't like Trump for doing that, and so they moved away and said, I'd rather vote for Biden over Trump, but this was a perfect opportunity for Trump to try to reclaim those voters. But let's go ahead and take a look at what he said instead of just answering the question.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there, with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. and they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, the debates we had first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
As you can see, Trump just completely dodged the question and instead just started lying about the state of his presidency compared to Biden. And when he was asked the question a second time, because he just refused to answer it the first time, he denied any involvement and said that he said to be peaceful when going on to the Capitol. And then he spent the whole rest of that time trying to blame Nancy Pelosi for January 6th, which again is a bunch of lies. Because what he's saying with Nancy Pelosi was a recently released video clip of Nancy Pelosi saying that she should have had the National Guard prepare more for January 6th. Take a look at this clip.
Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
that is not a question of how they had been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
But the thing is, Trump was saying that Nancy Pelosi said that she took full responsibility for January 6th. That is not true. All she was saying was that she took responsibility for not telling the National Guard and not being more harsh with them about actually being there to protect them at the time. But we can't even really blame her for that, because who actually thought that a mob would literally try to break into the Capitol? Like, that's not something that you would just normally expect. So honestly, that blame doesn't even fall on Pelosi. That blame falls on Trump for encouraging them to riot and try to break into the Capitol. But like we saw in the debate, Trump denied any wrongdoing and just refused to give confidence back to voters that he won't break his oath of office again. And really, by refusing to answer the question, he's basically giving us more confidence that if he gets a second term, he plans to break his oath of office again. But what else can we really expect from Trump? He lied all night on the debate stage while Biden, admittedly not well, tried to actually have thought out answers to the questions, and those answers were truthful, unlike Trump. Overall, in my opinion, this debate just did not go well for either party, and it's honestly hard to see a point to a second debate because they didn't even do well and they didn't stay on track for most of the questions. Like, it felt like half of the questions that were asked just went unanswered, and I'm really disappointed in CNN for, one, not trying to make sure that the debate candidates actually answered the questions, but also that they weren't fact-checking or just trying to, call out any lies. Because when you're not actively fact-checking and, calling out lies as they happen, the more confident man is going to come across as more truthful. So even though Trump was lying all night nonstop, he still seemed like the better candidate on stage because he just sounded better. So overall, while I think that this debate was better as far as moderation goes than the 2020 presidential debate, there was still a lot that CNN was lacking on it, so we'll just have to go ahead and see how the second one goes if they don't end up canceling it.